In August of 2002, I moved to Canada to start seminary. I still remember the A-frame chalkboard sign outside the hotel restaurant on my first night here, beckoning us to come inside to celebrate Alexander Keith's 100 and something birthday. And I thought, oh, this must be an important Canadian historical figure. When I later started drinking his beer, I learned that this was true. Alongside a suitcase of essentials, I brought with me an old Yamaha acoustic guitar on permanent loan from my dad, who'd bought it in medical school. He'd play it for me throughout my childhood with a page open in a yellow 3-ring binder with San Francisco General Hospital emblazoned on the cover. That binder was full of handwritten or typewritten transcripts of folk rock songs from the 1970s, the music I grew up with. The yellow binder and the guitar came with me to Canada, the latter protected in a new hard-shell case to replace the worn-out cardboard one. At one point, my then-girlfriend, now wife, gifted me with a sticker with intertwined US and Canadian flags with the words, "Love thy neighbor." I've now had that sticker on my guitar case for almost 20 years. In those early heady days in Canada, I had a seminary classmate who was also a US transplant but had been in Canada for decades. He was a pioneer of world music in Canada and active in the music scene. And he even once tuned Joni Mitchell's guitar. And maybe in an effort to channel her, I had him replace the plastic tuning pegs for metal ones. From her 1971 album, Blue, Joni Mitchell has a song, "A Case of You," which starts, "Just before our love got lost, you said, I am as constant as a northern star." And I said, "Constantly in the darkness, where's that at? If you want me, I'll be in the bar." On the back of a cartoon coaster in the blue TV screen light, I drew a map of Canada, oh Canada, with your face sketched on it twice. Oh, you're in my blood like holy wine. You taste so bitter and so sweet. Oh, I could drink a case of you, darling. Still I'd be on my feet. Oh, I would still be on my feet. In our allegiances, personal and geopolitical, we want to be able to sing about ourselves, "I am as constant as a northern star." I'll use I language here. As a husband and father during this pandemic, I wanted to be a constant, always reliable, patient, an equal partner in meal prep and virtual school, a steady source of light and comfort. And I can tell you that's simply not been 100% the case. As Canadians, we want to sing "O Canada" and believe that we are the true North, strong and free. We want to be the northern lights, a shining and glowing iridescence, at least in contrast to our neighbors to the south. But this past month, we've been digging beneath the surface and finding a much darker story buried there. One that muddies any self-identity of being nice and good. As an Anglican Church, we have been complicit in this erasure of memories and stories. In the stories being dug up this past month, we question ourselves. Who are we? Who are we really in this for? 9 years ago today, I was sworn in as a Canadian citizen. It was not lost on me that I was asked to pledge allegiance to Canada on July 4th, U.S. Independence Day. You got to make a choice, Andrew. It was as though the government was saying. My brother-in-law gave me a pack of Molson with "I am Canadian" printed on it. My in-laws a red Roots t-shirt, and my wife and little son tiny lapel pin flags. I had already begun reckoning with this question of allegiances. I did my seminary thesis on what it meant as a follower of Jesus to make a home at the 49th parallel. How to be a Christian, a Canadian, and an American at the same time. Those are questions I still reckon with. Allegiances and identity are formed over time and not easily lost or won. They run deep. One day, as a kid growing up in Northern California, I fell out of the poplar tree in my backyard. And I discovered on the street side of the fence a treasure buried in the bushes. It was a cassette tape of Bruce Springsteen's 1984 Born in the USA album. And I've been a fan of Springsteen, known as the Boss, ever since. But beyond the flag and blue jeans and red baseball cap swagger of that album cover, it would be other albums that affected me most profoundly. A more recent song of his carried me through a very difficult time at a previous church. And then there's this song from his 1980 album, The River, which I found on an LP in a Canadian antique store. The song is called Independence Day. And one of the stanzas says, "'Cause the darkness of this house has got the best of us. There's a darkness in this town that's got us too. But they can't touch me now, and you can't touch me now. They ain't gonna do to me what I watched them do to you." Springsteen is singing about the darkness that clings to his town and his home of origin, of the fear that it will cling to him too if he doesn't get away. In his biography, the story is told that every night of his childhood, Springsteen's father would sit at the kitchen table after supper with the lights off and drink a 6-pack of beer, working out in the silence and between sips what the heck it all means. This song is about declaring one's independence from his dad, his house, from an old identity, in order to find and forge a new one. This newness is possible only because he's able to look into the darkness and see something there. On this Canada Day weekend, it is Independence Day. It is time to forge a new identity as those learning to follow Jesus Christ. For there is darkness in the house of our country, of our Anglican Church, and if we're honest, of our own house too. We can defend ourselves as Canadians, we can defend the church, we can cling to our old identities unchanged, or we can listen. Listen to these opening words from the Gospel of John, written about John the Baptist. A man came sent by God. His name was John. He came as a witness to bear witness to the light, so that everyone might believe through him. he was not the light. He was to bear witness to the light. As an American, I am not the light. As Canadians, we are not the light. As the church, we are not the light. Only Jesus is the light. As the book of James says, every generous act of giving with every perfect gift is from above, coming down from the Father of lights, with whom there is no variation or shadow due to change. God alone is the source of all light and the giver of every perfect gift. Such knowledge makes us humble and enables us to be quick to listen and slow to speak. James again. In fulfillment of God's own purpose, God gave us birth by the word of truth. Birth into a new citizenship, a new allegiance, a new constancy, a new independence. Born of truth. The truth that calls to us from beneath the ground, and in Jesus from beyond the grave. We are learning to follow this Jesus full of grace and truth. From this truth and in God's light, we can become those not who forget, but who act, and live into God's reconciliation with our neighbors, with ourselves, and with all creation. Amen.
There's a fire in the belly of the nations you have called. There's a power that breaks the silence of the souls with pain untold, and we'll lay it on the line. And we'll leave it all behind. Lord, let us rise, 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 rise like you rose from the grave, and we'll shine. Yes, we'll shine, shine like the stars in the sky, reflecting your love. We'll walk in the light of the sun. Ooh. Yes, we will. There's a voice that speaks deliverance, that shouts with faith and love, till the hands and feet of Jesus live in all our shoes and gloves, and we'll lay it on the line. Rise, we'll shine. Shine like the stars in the sky, reflecting your love. We'll walk in the light of the sun. Ooh. We'll live like you already won it all. We'll live like your kingdom has come. We'll live like you already won it all. We'll live like your kingdom has come.
We'll live like you already won it all.
I wanna live,
Live like
live.
your kingdom has
Woo,
come.
woo, woo.
Live like you already won it all.
Live like you want it all.
Live like your kingdom
Whoa, whoa, Lord, let us rise, 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 rise like you rose from the grave, and we'll shine. Yes, we'll shine. Shine like the stars in the sky, reflecting your love. We'll walk in the light, oh, reflecting your love. We'll walk in the light, oh, reflecting your love. We'll walk in the light of the sun.